Hi friends, this is Terry Squires with today's Nashville This Is Faith. I sat down with John and Robin Berry. Once again, we talked about his cancer battle, and I got Robin's side of the story, their updates on their concerts and their music. You won't want to miss their episode. There is always someone standing with you in the midst of your storm. Are you in the midst of a cancer battle? Several years ago, Grammy Award-winning country music artist John Berry shared his faith in music right after receiving 35 treatments for throat cancer. Today, John and his wife, by his side on and off stage, update us on their journey of healing, faith, and music, and a message for you. This is their story. This is today's Nashville. This is faith. Robin, John, what a pleasure to have you back on today's Nashville. Welcome, Robin. I've been wanting you on the show.
I know.
I want to get your perspective. It's been several years, so welcome back.
Thank you.
You have a lot of anniversaries coming up. I saw all of them. You've got celebrating 25 years, 30 years of your hits, Standing on the Edge of Goodbye.
Yeah.
And
Crazy.
It is. It's amazing. But the one big anniversary that I want to talk about, and then we'll get into your music, is your 6 years. Last time we talked about it, you were just coming out of your treatment with cancer, and now it's been 6 years and you're cancer-free.
It's amazing. Yeah. Sometimes it feels like it's been longer than 6 years ago, but then other times it's like, wow, it's pretty recent, you know. But it's been quite the journey, you know. It's amazing that they were able to, the talent that God gives men and women to do what they're able to do, and God's blessing of his faithfulness to allow me to still sing after throat cancer and sing better, actually.
Absolutely no effect when you had.
Yeah, it's one of those types of cancers that has stayed with us, the after effects, just because it's affected his eating, his taste buds.
Still today?
Swallowing. He has paralysis in the back of his throat,
Really?
which makes eating very difficult.
They had to, what did they
cut
get
some
in?
nerves or something?
Yes, they cut some nerves when they took the tumors out. And,
That's right.
so it's paralyzed part of the soft palate. But even just in September, here almost 6 years after, where John had a stroke. And it went to several areas in his brain, and they didn't know why. And finally, we went on Christmas tour, lots of blood thinners, but we got through that, and they discovered that because of the radiation from the cancer, it caused an aneurysm in his carotid artery. And so he had surgery New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Year's
The way to start off the new year.
So you're recovering even now?
Well, it's just amazing. It's like been a cancer that he can still sing and he's cancer-free, but it has had a lot of repercussions on changing our life, our eating style, and what he can eat. And
Yeah. Saliva glands still don't work very well.
yeah.
And that's a trick. The radiation kind of smoked him.
But praise God, he's cancer-free, you know.
Exactly. Tell me what it was like for you going back when you first found the news out, and you know, you're on tour, you're singing together. I've seen you on stage. You guys are just powerful together. The chemistry is unbelievable. And what was it like for you?
Well, it was not as nerve-wracking as I would have thought that I would have handled it. But oddly enough, God prepares us for things in our life. And 6 months prior to John's diagnosis, his bass player had throat cancer.
Exact same thing.
We watched him walk that journey, and we learned a lot about this type of cancer and what caused it. And we knew the journey, and John's journey very much replicates Mike's journey. And we knew the success rate. We had the worries, would he sing the same and all those.
Were you shocked when you heard that he had throat cancer?
Yes.
Push me over.
Yeah, very. God has always been faithful. I mean, we have been through a lot of things in life, but he's always been faithful. And I didn't have thought to think that he wouldn't be.
What went through your mind when you heard the news?
I chuckled.
Chuckled.
Yeah, when Dr. Spire, he looked down my throat, he turned the little light off, and he said, "We tell it the way it is here. You have throat cancer." And I just chuckled. What?
How could that be?
Well, he's had a lot of hospital and drama in his.
I spent most of my life in a hospital gown.
I remember that. Motorcycle accident,
brain surgery,
right?
and just all. I mean, The Day Your Love Amazes Me was my first #1 record. I had brain surgery that morning. So.
Yeah. I told him, I said, maybe God's trying to tell you something. You should listen this time, so we don't have to keep going through all of this.
Pay attention, young man.
So the stroke was caused by the carotid artery.
The radiation.
The radiation.
The radiation
Okay.
weakened the carotid artery and caused an aneurysm. So
And that's all taken care of.
That to me was much scarier than the cancer, because I had never seen somebody have a stroke.
The only thing you hear about
before.
aneurysms is my mom had one, passed away from brain aneurysms.
Well, I used to be a RN, worked in hearts and strokes and everything. And so it is, especially when it comes to the carotid and the blood flow to the brain.
I had taken him, I said, go to the gym with me this morning. He never goes to the gym. He came to the gym with me. We get in the car to leave. We drive 15 seconds down the street, and he's like having a stroke. I didn't know it. I thought his sugar had dropped. It really scared me. And I didn't know a lot about strokes. And
we didn't know
what did you do?
I went all day. I thought his sugar, checked his sugar. I let him take a nap. I'm thinking his sugar dropped from being at the gym. And finally...
You're not diabetic, though, are you?
Yeah.
Are you okay.
So by the end of the day, he was realizing and telling me, I can't put my finger on my phone.
I have my phone here, and I go here to touch it. And it's like, wait.
So
our next door neighbor
immediately went to the
Our neighbor's
ER.
our neighbor's a physician, and she came over and looked at me. She said, "I think you need to go to the ER." So we went.
Yeah.
Sure enough.
And we're going to talk more about that when we come back, and your faith that helped you get through it. So, Rob and John, you were getting ready for your Christmas tour. And in September, you were going where? You were
Illinois, I think. Yeah, I had to show up in Illinois. And it was a couple of days before that is when I had the stroke. And I was supposed to drive the bus, so we had to fix that.
You were in the hospital, right, at that time? So you canceled the... Okay.
We had to cancel that one show, yeah. So, but then we had to go out the next week and do shows,
So I went with him, obviously, and we're on stage, and it's he keeps turning around to me during the show, and he's going, "Now where was I?" And I just start talking, filling in, covering it up, and he did good, and gradually it all comes back. The brain is remarkable at how it heals itself, but that was killing me. Now where was I? I'm like, oh.
But in September, you found out, but you didn't have surgery until January. I bet you were a nervous wreck.
Yes, a lot of blood thinners, and but she assured us that he would be okay. We went out and did Christmas tour and came home, and New Year's Eve he had surgery. So
And
we
that
had
was
to be
what-
ready to go on the country music Grand Ole Opry cruise in January.
Yes.
So had to get it done.
You are so busy, you know, and like I said, I've seen you on stage. I know, I mean, we just love your music, and you're celebrating 30 years of the Christmas. Is it the Christmas song, Oh Holy
This year,
Night?
yeah, Oh Holy Night came out 30 years ago, but this is our 29th year doing a Christmas tour. And we missed 1997. I had another
Medical issue.
had to cancel the whole tour.
You canceled the whole tour.
Yes.
Had to have a vocal cord surgery.
Do you ever think that it's connected, you know, with the throat surgery, cancer, or do you just, no?
No, I don't think so.
No.
It's just, I think it's just stuff just happens.
Yes, life just happens and you have to deal with it.
Well, where is your faith in all of this?
Well, I just like Robin said, she you know, all these things have happened. We believe that God uses. I don't think God sends me to have cancer. You know, I think He uses those opportunities to draw us closer to Him.
Yes.
And so I think that's the biggest thing is just don't miss the opportunities. You know, like Robin said, what's God trying to tell you through these different things that have come along in your life, and so that's been an important thing to try and reevaluate things and see what God's trying to speak to us.
With cancer, though, that was really difficult for John. He struggled with all of it so much, and just the treatments and the pain and not feeling good, and but he was very down about the whole thing for a good while.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, you know, I lost 80 pounds. I was on a feeding tube from February until November.
February until November. See, I don't remember talking about that.
Yeah, because I didn't eat. I don't think I ate from March until September.
Yeah, and
It was all, you know.
How did you handle it?
oh wow, I tried to just be supportive. I would find myself just going, and old gospel hymns just like came alive in me, songs that I grew up singing in church, and I would just touch him, and I'm not the singer of the family, but I would just sing these old songs over him, and especially Great Is Thy Faithfulness. Just remembering all the things that we had been through together in our life, how God had been faithful. And I drew, you know, we have that conscious decision to make. Are we going to draw near to God to let Him give us strength and to give us peace and comfort? And I always choose to do that. I want to draw on that. And I believe in those times that I am the strongest because He makes me strong. And I mean, what a mountaintop.
Let's go back, and I want to know more about your relationship. Back in Georgia, that's where you met, right?
Yeah.
When did you meet?
I was
Spring of
84.
no.
Well, you've been in some of his
84.
earlier
84.
videos, I remember.
Yeah, we met spring of 84. I was 19, going to UGA. And
So you're both in college?
no, I was
You were?
in college.
Okay.
He was the guy sitting on the bar stool singing songs.
I think I heard that you weren't too interested at first.
Not at all.
The first thing he ever said to me is,
2
when are
years?
we gonna get married? And that's like a whoa, you know.
I mean, I'm 6 years older, so if you're 19, God's 6 years older, that's grandpa. you know. So
Not to mention just what he did for a living.
yeah, she's
I
a
thought,
military
that's
family, and
very strange.
yeah, sit on a stool playing a guitar. My
In
mother
a
will kill me.
bar. In a bar. You know,
Hey,
I'm
wait a
thinking,
second. You were 19 and you were in the bar.
well, in Georgia, it was
In those
18
days.
at that time. That was a
way
long
back.
time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a crazy place that guys could shoot pool, and they had, food, and it was just a
great
small
place.
little
Small
place.
little-
And
We had so much fun there. And matter of fact, we're going back to play in Athens this spring, and it's being billed as, because we're doing all those old songs we used to play back in the club days. It's gonna be a lot of fun. But we met there, and she would come out and see me play and chat with me a little bit here and there, but she wouldn't go out with me for 2 years.
So you kept going back to the same place, hoping to get a date with Robin. What changed?
We went out twice in a period of 3 years. I was very drawn to him and just kind of enamored with him, but I just thought so different than what I grew up. I knew he was a Christian, but I couldn't wrap my head around somebody who was on stage singing for a living. I mean, just couldn't wrap my head around it. And we went out one night and it just kind of worked. And I went away back to college, came home, and he was driving me crazy. I said, I got to tell this guy to leave me alone, quit calling me, quit sending me flowers every week. And we went out every day for about 2 weeks.
Over
New
Christmas
Year's Eve,
break.
he asked me to marry him. Never said I love you. Never said let's date. Nothing.
What'd you say?
I said I need to think about this. I'm not quite so sure about this.
So how long did it take after that to?
About a month and a half, she came around. Then she wanted a winter wedding, and that's way too far off. So we got married in July.
So you got engaged in
January
and got married.
And got married in July. Yeah.
And look what God has done.
Amazing.
You're performing together, and we're going to talk about your life now, on stage, off stage, and what God is going to do. We'll talk about it when we come back. Robin, John, the Lord is doing amazing things in your life. You got married, and you were on the road. What was it like to be a wife, the musician, on the road? I mean, it has to be, challenging. A lot of people want to be musicians, but they really don't know what it's really like, do they? I mean...
Well, no, I was playing clubs first.
2.5 years of our marriage.
Well, so we got married in '88, and I got a record deal. We really started going on the road in '93. So a number of years just playing clubs in Athens and surrounding areas.
And
Did
I
you
didn't
go on the
always
road?
sing with
Did
John.
you go on the road with him?
Well, it just happened. He did a demo deal with Warner Brothers, and this incredible woman sang backup on it, Kathy Mattea, and 5 songs. And he said, you ought to learn these 5 songs and sing with me, because we had done a little Christmas program at our church together with my sister-in-law. And he said, you ought to learn these songs and come out and sing them with me. And so I did. And we came to Nashville to do a showcase. He did. And it just happened, the 5 songs he did at the showcase were the 5 songs I sang on. And the next thing we know, he has a record deal, and they had 2 girls singing backup on the record, and I had a gig. And I had never sang live or even learned how to do a monitor mix or anything. And I had a gig, and it was just like, wow, where did this come from?
What 5 songs? Because I bet I know some of those, because you sing them a lot, and they're one of my favorites. So
Yeah, it's like What's in It for Me.
What about Love
Your Love
Your
Amazes Me. No, that
Me?
didn't come till
No, that was
after
later.
when he did the album, but it just is kind of surreal. I mean, we'd been married 3 years before I
Just
ever
3 years,
started
but-
singing with him.
Yeah.
But you're on the road with him now.
Now, yes, and we do well. I mean, I think God knew we needed to be together. I love what I get to do. I just think we do it better together.
You absolutely do, because I've seen you on stage. And
Well,
there's
it's not
just,
even that. I just think it has allowed me to have a voice in his music. It's allowed me to do creative things behind the scenes that people don't know that I do. And I think he listens to my ideas. And some of them we don't agree on. But
Who gets the last
he
word?
does let me have a voice.
Who usually wins those?
Him, because
Okay.
you know it's his face. it's him.
She does have great ideas, and she's really good at, you know, she's like every woman. You know, I play a song for her, and she'll, no, I'm not getting that. And she just has this sense of what.
So you trust her, and
Oh yeah. Or if there's a song that she likes, and I'm like, I'm not so cool on that. She said, you need to listen to that one again.
Yeah, and he lets me. I mean, I'm probably his biggest critic on stage. I tell him when we get off the stage, I'm like, baby, if I don't tell you now, I won't remember. You know, so I am probably his biggest critic, and he allows me to be that, because how do you learn if you don't have those around you helping you get better at things? And not that he needs to get better, but
I just need to get through it.
get through it.
But it is, if I hear her scuffing her feet on stage, that
means move on.
the story's too long.
Oh, is that
move
true?
I
along.
would start tapping my toes and like, okay, move on. You're drowning.
I'm gonna watch for that next
You're
time.
boring these people to death.
Yeah, we have little things.
I love your messages, though. The last time wasn't the last time, but we were at the Opry when your first grandbaby was born. And she was, I don't know, several months old. So
Yes.
that was really special. I think you even had the camera on her.
Yes, Libby.
Olivia, yeah.
John's a great storyteller. That is just such a strength he has of taking real life things and pointing them to God and pointing them to things that are important, like family. And he is an incredible storyteller.
Sometimes a little long.
That's that foot.
Who inspired who inspired you growing up with you? Did you have any idea that this was going to happen?
I would have never dreamed. I grew up playing piano for 15 years. I was in chorus in high school and middle school and a show choir, and went on to college and was in a big choir in college. But never would I have ever thought that
Oh, come on now.
this would be part of my life, to be a backup singer.
I'm sure when you saw the Commodores at UGA, you said, I can do that. I can do that.
No, just wasn't in my dream plan.
In everything that has happened, too, I saw something on, it's kind of going around now. You won the Emmy with Nancy
George
Jones. Yeah,
Jones,
George
yeah.
Jones.
Isn't
And
that crazy?
Isn't that crazy?
It was such a cool thing to be a part of. Nancy and her team put a wonderful show together down in Huntsville,
Alabama.
Alabama, at the arena there, and there was a slew of artists. Everybody was there, and it was just a great show. It was a lot of fun to be a part of it, and of course, when they give out an Emmy award, they give Emmys to the producer, you know. And Nancy wasn't having that. Nancy had Emmy plaques made for every participant, every artist at her expense, and then had us all over to her home to give them to us. It was amazing. It was over the top.
as you look back through these 30 years, what comes to your mind?
That was quick.
Yes, and I think about how blessed we are. I just think we have been able to do some of the most amazing things that outside of this business we would have never been able to do. And being Christians and loving the Lord, I feel like we have been able to be out and about in the world and share our faith with people. With glimpses of stories or a moment in a song or with a prayer at the merch table. And that.
The platform that God's given us to be able to share just in responding to people or through songs or messages of the songs. And like, I think one of the most impactful ways is visiting with these folks before or after the shows and having chances to really have some brief but meaningful conversations that center around him.
And the one thing we've been saying to each other this year is, as we are coming up, at this age and at this point and all these 30-year anniversaries, we just say, wow, we have had a great life.
Yeah.
We've had a great life.
And you are impacting so many lives. And I just want to thank you. Thank you, Robin, for coming and sharing your side of the story. John, it was so good to see you again. And I just pray many blessings on you. Thank you.
Thank you.
My friend, are you facing a battle with your health? Trust the Lord. Hand it to Him. He'll take care of it. This is today's Nashville. This is Faith.
Cornerstone Television wishes to thank all our faithful viewers whose consistent prayers and financial support have made this program possible.